It's pre-order day. The Empire of Man Arcane Journal is available now to pre-order. This thing was leaked in its entirety well over a month ago, so not a lot new here to talk about, but we're going to go over it all anyway. We're going to do it briefly, kind of quickly, and we're going to jump all over the place from section to section. So check the timestamps in the description below if you want to hear my opinions on specific entries. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the new things first, and then the armies of infamy. Let's start out with Harald Gemunsen, the Grand Master of the Knights Panther. One of the new model vampires, going to get a nice resin mounted knight character, but he's locked to the Order of the Knights Panther, which is fine, but we're going to talk about those rules in a second. We have really good fighting stats for a human character. Weapon skill 7, which is not, very common at all on your typical, heavy cav horse. His magic weapon isn't terrible. It's +1 strength, native strength 5, AP 1 with armor bane 1, and killing blow. And when making attacks against beastmen, bray herds, maybe roll all fail to wound. Not a terrible weapon at all for a 4 attack model. He's only 185 points, which I can't complain about. But he has a really cool ability, which I'm kind of excited for, the Skilled Duelist ability, allowing him to issue a challenge after the first challenge he fights is already fought. So no longer can you just accept his challenge with your champion in hopes to protect your fighty character or somebody else. He kills the enemy champion real quick and then challenges again and fights another character. How well it's going to be at doing that, I'm not sure yet. But I'm actually excited to try this guy out. Doesn't carry a shield, no ward save to speak of. He's not going to be the best duelist, though. He's going to die. But we'll try him out, we'll play around with him. Now, there's a bunch of extra special rules on this guy that are all tied to the Knights Panther. We're going to talk about that because there are rules in this book for all of the knightly orders. So we'll go over his rules that are kind of redundant with them later on. Otherwise, this character is not that expensive. I'd feel better about him if he had a ward save. Otherwise, I'll use him, but he's not going to wow anybody. And then we got General Hans von Loenhacke. Okay, so I've already played a game with this model. Well, not this model. I proxied just a regular Empire General as him. And I kind of dig him, actually. 190 points for a foot character. He does have the Griffin Helm, gives him a 5 ward save, and immune to killing blow. He does have the weapon called Judgment. It's like basically a great weapon that doesn't strike last. But it has magical attacks and multiple wounds too, which is pretty good, but he's still only on foot. But, he's actually actually, he's the best possible character on foot the Empire can get to be a fighter, which is interesting. Like I said, his point cost isn't too terrible, but he has 2 really cool rules that I'm interested to play around with. His Mercenary Commander special rule is one of the ones I'm really excited to play around with. Mercenaries in his army don't roll on the misbehaving mercenaries table, which is really good because I really want to bring dwarf doom seekers in an army led by General von Loenhacke, and not rolling on the table is super nice. But more importantly, the strategic mastery special rule. In scenarios where players roll off to determine who goes first, you may add 1 or -1 to your modifier. If you bring a lot of war machines that are, already 1 drop, build your army around having minimal drops. Getting +2 to roll so you goes first when you have a gun line can be really terrifying. This guy is going to be, I think, somebody I'm going to play around with often, unless it gets, unfun to play against. But yeah, I actually kind of like this character. We have Harbingers of Doom as a new character in this book. I don't think there's anything worth talking about this guy. I think he's got no play. He has 0 interest for me. You can see all his rules on the sheet there. I think he's only in the book because there's that model that's brought back in the Empire Command that's going to be available for sale that has like a BSB, a captain on foot, and like a weird half-naked zealot type character. I'm assuming they just made a model for, or I'm sorry, made rules for that model. I can't see myself ever wanting to bring this model or ever wanting to spend 65 points for him. I don't want to talk about it any more than that. But the Teutogen Guard are also back. I am stoked for these. These seem to be overtuned. Or Empire, that is. Okay, so we have 13 points a model, weapon skill 4, toughness 4, leadership 8, infantry. They come with wolf hammers and full plate armor. They have the typical command you can upgrade to, can be upgraded to Guardians of the Temple for 1 point per model, which you're going to because that rule just gives them rerolls 1 to hit when in combat. That's ridiculously efficient. The wolf hammer they come with is strength +1, AP 2, requires 2 hands. Now, on the turn in which they charge, at least 3 inches or more, it's +2 strength instead of +1. So there's multiple ways of looking at this weapon. It's a great weapon that it does not give you strikes last and only gives you +1 strength in subsequent rounds of combat. Another way of looking at it is actually it's a flail that gives you +1 strength in subsequent rounds of combat. I think it's a fantastic weapon. Now, the squad is only initiative 3. They're going to be striking at initiative 6 when they charge and getting that, reroll 1s to hit, strength 5 attack. But on a toughness 4 model with full plate armor, not terrible. You also have the Blessing of Ulrich special rule, which is a 6-up ward save against flaming attacks. I don't care about that. But it's a nice free rule there. But coming with Drilled, Stubborn, and Veteran, these things have taken any chance of ever seeing any chance of seeing great swords on the table again. They take the same job as great swords. I think they're after upgrading to be Guardians of the Temple. I think they're only 1 point more per model than the great swords. Maybe it's 2 points more per model, but either way, they're negligibly more expensive than great swords, but they come with a much better weapon and their toughness 4. Not paying a absorbent price for Veteran, Stubborn, and Drilled, all things that great swords can get, but you gotta pay a lot of points for them. I think the Teutogen Guard are just actually amazing. I'm super excited for this. Now, it is an infantry unit, so, take that with a grain of salt, but I like them. Oh, but obviously, the Guardians of the Wolf Priest special rule at the bottom there. An army of Empire of Man, Grand Army composition can include a 0 to 1 unit of Teutogen Guard as a special choice per Warrior Priest of Ulrich it includes. I'm totally fine with that stipulation. The Warrior Priest of Ulrich is actually a pretty awesome model. Next, we got the Imperial Ogre. They're just ogres. Yeah, you have a great weapon, a Morningstar, a light cannon. What's a light cannon do? A light cannon is 18-inch range, strength 4, AP1, armor bane 2. Every hit is D3 hits. It's still on a Blitz skill 3 model. That's really expensive to maybe get D3 hits. They're just ogres. It's the Dogs of War ogres that dwarves and Empire can take. I don't hate it, but I don't think I'm gonna buy this unit. I don't think I'm gonna use these guys. Next up is the Empire Road Wardens. These things made me so happy. These things have nullified the Pistoliers. Okay, so first of all, they can be in an Empire army. It's 1 per 1,000 points in special. So typically you're gonna have 2 units of these in your army. I think I'm gonna have 2 units of these in my armies moving forward all the time. So you just use Empire. You're supposed to have Empire Outriders with crossbows to be your Empire Road Wardens, but they can swap their crossbows for a brace of pistols for 1 point per model, or a repeater pistol on the captain for 2 points per model. I was very, very disappointed with Pistoliers being impetuous, making them almost useless. But these guys replace them completely. Just buy them a brace of pistols or a repeater pistol on the captain if you buy the captain. Now you have a unit that does the exact same job as Pistoliers for, I think, 1 or 2 points more per model. Like nothing you didn't even notice in your list. They have better ballistic skill and no impetuous. I'm stoked for this unit. You're going to see this in many, if not most, of my Empire lists going forward. I've never owned one or seen one in real life, but the Empire War Wagons coming back, and I plan on ordering 2, maybe 3. I don't get too many. Now, everybody knows I love chariots. This is a 140-point chariot with a 3-up armor save, toughness 5, 6 wounds. That alone, I'm stoked for. I'm happy for. I'm happy to pay 140 points just for that. This thing comes with 6 crew, 2 horses, meaning we have 8 attacks in combat after our impact attacks. We have crushing stomps, which are D3 plus 1 extra stomps that are only AP1s to AP2 that these things typically get, but crushing weight, AP1, D3 plus 1 stomps after having impact hits. And every member of the crew has a different weapon. Now, 3 of them have a ranged weapon, a blunderbuss, a long rifle, a repeating rifle, and then 3 of them have a combat weapon. The ball and chain for 1 massive strike attack, the halberd for a decent combat attack, and the man catcher for a decent combat attack. Now, the bottom there, kind of cut off a little bit, but it can be taken as a mount for an Empire Engineer. Now, okay, 140 points for this thing I think is a steal. The only issue I got with it, not even an issue, I'm just disappointed because I want to be overpowered. It can be taken as a rare choice, 1 per 1,000 points. Now, that's a very coveted slot already for the Empire. That's where my steam tank is, that's my flagellants are, that's where my organ guns are. But I think the Empire War Wagon will probably end up replacing my steam tanks, but we'll get to that in the future. Now, there's some a different play with this thing when we get to the Empire City-State of Nuln. Either way, the Empire War Wagon, I think, is a big win. I don't think I'm going to buy more than 2, maybe 3. But I'm very happy with this. Next up, we have the Nightly Orders of the Empire brought into the book. Now, there is a whole army of infamy based around these, so I'm going to go into greater detail when I get to that. But for now, 1 Grand Master in your army and 1 unit of Knights or Circle Knights in your army can be upgraded to a specific order in your Empire Grand Army. It's a few points per model. It's like 10 to 15 points per character to be upgraded, 2 to 3 points for a regular knight to be upgraded. But what you get, Order of the Knights Panther, you get magic resistance 1 for the characters and the Inner Circle Knights. Otherwise, you gain hatred, beastmen, and warriors and demons. Not terrible. I don't like hatred. I don't like special rules that are locked to specific armies. Harder to balance the game, I think, that way. But either way, hatred against 3 armies is not terrible. They reroll 1 die of 1 when making a charge roll. Not as good as Bretonia, but still pretty good, and must include lances. Now, at 2 points per model for those upgrades on the rank and flank knight, it's not that bad. But I'm not overly wowed about that. But I see that as kind of a lateral move, like cost a little bit more, but you gain a little bit more. I'm happy to be part of that knightly order or not. The Order of the White Wolf is really interesting because you get those great wolf hammers on your knights, and you gain Furious Charge. The one thing about this game that keeps like infantry and cav from really doing well is the amount of attacks they get in comparison to other things in the game, like monsters and characters. Having your knights have Furious Charge, especially with those wolf hammers, oh my god, that's so good. And the characters gain a 5 of war save against fire. Oh, sorry, the characters and the Inner Circle Knights gain a 5 war save against fire. Either way, Order of the White Wolf looking damn good. Order of the Blazing Sun. Look at it. We're done. We are done talking. We're not even going to talk about it. We're done. Let's go to the Order of the Knights more. So the next 2 are actually the ones I think I'm going to play most. No, Order of the White Wolf is I'm going to play it the most. Either way, Order of the Knights of More. They get a 6 of ward save across the board for non-magical attacks. That's pretty good. Running the math on that, it's actually kind of decent. It's not a wow thing by any stretch of the imagination. I remember back in 7th edition Warhammer 40k, I don't know why I always talk about this, but I was playing Iron Warriors, and they gained a 6 up Feel No Pain back in 7th edition 40k. I'm like, this is mediocre. And I started playing games, and it came up enough in the game to always make a difference. Having a 6 up ward save across the board against non-magical attacks for 3 points per model, mathematically, I think it actually is worth it. Otherwise, they gain hatred undead, which is, I don't like hatred against specific armies, but I get it. Then their characters and their Inner Circle Knights gain fear, and the magical attack special rule. Both of those are awesome. Especially since there's a magic item that'll work well with that fear we'll talk about later. But then we have the Order of the Fiery Heart. Okay, so you get +1 initiative on the first turn of combat. You gain hatred, enemy wizards, and all orcs and goblins, and can only be joined by Grandmaster belonging to the same order, an Elector of Sigmar or a Priest of Sigmar. I like those models, so cool to have them on my list. And then in addition, this is really good, and I think kind of overlooked, meaning this could be the best one, I think, in my mind. Characters and Inner Circle Knights reroll hits and wounds of 1 in combat. Your Grandmaster with an Ogre Blade always having reroll hits and wounds of 1 is damn good. Is really, really good. I think that rule, I don't know. It might be, I don't know. It seems to me that's really good. But I'm going to back up a second here. Having +1 initiative in the first round of combat for an army of knights, all the Empire Knights pretty much have countercharge. So enemies, they're going to be striking first more often than not. Like even things that are fast enough to get the drop on the knights usually are able to be countercharged. So enemy knights, so Empire, let's go with Warriors of Chaos Knights. They have initiative 4. they're going to get initiative 7 on the charge. Empire Knights have initiative, I think 3 on the basic guys, going up to 4 with the +1 from the Order of the Fiery Heart, and then up to +3 more from the counter charge. They're going to strike at the same initiative. But then you look at things like the Demigryph Knights, who are base initiative 4. If Blood Knights or Chaos Chosen Knights charge Demigryphs, and the Demigryphs counter charge, the Demigryphs are going to fight first. The Demigryphs are if they roll a 1 on their counter charge, striking at the same time as enemy knights. If they roll a 2+ on the counter charge, they're 8, right? So they're base 4, 5 for having +1 initiative the first round of combat. 6, 7. You roll 2+ on the die +1. Yeah, 8. These strike first against things charging them. I think that's really, really good. I have a sneaking suspicion Order of the Fiery Heart is going to be the most powerful of all of these. Now, time will tell if I'm wrong. I think Order of the White Wolf and that devastating charge is so good, and I want to play a lot of that. But I think there's some lists I've already played around with the Fiery Heart that I'm actually really excited for. Won't be an Arcane Journal with a couple pages of magic items. First of all, we have magic weapons. Okay, Games Workshop, I'm going to use this opportunity once again to say, your magic items suck. No, I'm going to rephrase that. Your magic weapons suck. They're just overpriced. So the first one, the Hammer of Righteous, it is 50 points, +2 strength, AP2, magical attacks, requires 2 hands, strikes last. So basically, it's a great weapon for 50 points, and it gives you magical attacks. But also gives you ability when you're hit, you force the enemy to take a leadership check. If they fail, it automatically wounds. That's not worth 50 points. It's just, a great weapon is 4 points. Why would I pay 46 more points to have something make a leadership check and maybe get a reroll to wound? Like, the Knightly Order of the Fiery Heart has reroll 1s to wound built in on the character that can take this. Like, that's better, and that cost me 10 points on upgrade. Like, significantly better. No, okay, so this is a rant, not about this magic weapon, but more about the magic weapons this edition. They're all overcosted. This Hammer of Righteousness would be, I could see myself maybe purchasing it if it was 25 points. Having it cost 21 points more than a great weapon, or great weapons are 6 points. Having it cost about 20 points more than a great weapon, I would pay for. But having it cost 45 points more than a great weapon is not worth it. This is a consistent problem we're seeing over magic items magic weapons over and over and over again. The Pearl Daggers is kind of cool. 35 points for extra D3 attacks, and you get to reroll the hit in combat. Problem is, I can't think of an Empire character that I would put that on. There are other armies that I would use that magic weapon with, but I can't think of an Empire character I would use those Pearl Daggers on. We have the Blade of Silver Steel. It's strength +1 AP1 for 30 points. It gives you Hatred. Undead. Undead can't take armor or regeneration saves. It's not a bad weapon if you know who you're fighting against. But I've said before, I don't like things that are locked to specific enemies. Now, the next one I really like. The next one's actually really good. The Wondrous Arquebus. Okay, this thing here, 36-inch range, strength 5 AP2, armor bane 1, multiple wounds D3. The wielder does not suffer a -1 hit for shooting at long range. It's only 25 points. That's what I'm talking about. That's a really good weapon. That's going to be in 100% of my City-State of Nuln lists. And I'm probably going to have that in... I mean, every engineer that's going to sit back and babysit a Hellblaster Mulligan is going to have this gun now. It's a damn good weapon. And we have the Shield of the Gorgon for 40 points. Oh, -1 attack from enemies in base contact to a minimum of 1. So it's 40 points, pretty much to make a character or monster -1 attack. I can't think of any combo of upgrades I'm going to put on a character where I'm going to justify purchasing the Shield of the Gorgon. I don't see this thing ever making it to the battlefield. For me, anyway. We have the Twice Blessed Armor. I love this. It's going to be on all my priests. It can be on anybody, but it can be on my priests. So it's full plate armor, which gives you the Bound Power Level 2 Hammer Hand spell. 25 points. It's 25 points. Is it amazing? No. Pretty cool, and I'll have to pay 25 points for it. Now, here's the thing. If they charge 50 points for that, I wouldn't have paid it. But 25 points all day long. And then if you go over here to the Witch Hunter's Ward, this one I think we're going to see in a lot of armies. It is very similar to the Chaos one, the Collar of Corn, basically. It gives you MR2 And you can reroll 1 armor save. It's 20 points. It's ultra common. I expect to see a lot of my knight champions be using this. Having MR2 for 20 points on a unit, super useful. Having a champion have at least once per game reroll, able to constantly issue and accept challenges from other champions, I mean, he's not going to accidentally just die because he rolled that odd one, right? I mean, it's only once per game reroll, but for 20 points, that item's a steal. I'm expecting to use a lot of them. In fact, a lot of lists I've already written had a lot of Witch Hunter's wards in them. The Slayer's Hourglass, I'm moving on. Okay, we have a banner for the Knights Panther. It's 80 points. It's only for the Knights Panther. It gives them, oh, sorry, only for their BSB. It gives them Unbreakable. I want to use this. I'm going to try to play around with some lists. You have to have a big enough unit of Knights to want to make them Unbreakable. But Unbreakable, this edition, with the way fallback in good order works, Unbreakable in the old world isn't nearly as valuable as it has been in previous editions. Unbreakable is not that interesting. In fact, I don't think 80 points for Unbreakable is worth it. No, if I'm wrong, by all means, if I haven't thought of something, point it out. I'm very open to ideas, but I don't think 80 points for Unbreakable is interesting or worth it. Especially since it's only allowed to be on a unit of Knights. We have the Tapestry of Sigmar Triumphant for 40 points. You may reroll Wounds of 1 during the first round of combat. That's awesome. My Teutogen Guard are going to use that. Or any Knight unit are going to use that. That's actually really, really good. I love rerolls. Okay, Icon of More, 25 points, you get Terror, you get Fear. If you already have Fear, you get Terror. Keep in mind, Knights from the Order of More, the characters and the Inner Circle Knights gain Fear, so this banner automatically gives them Terror. Having Terror, issuing chart, like, Terror is so good. That means -1 leadership for your opponent. If they fail if they're in combat, they have to do a break check. Terror checks when you charge them. Just all kinds of just all kinds of reasons why this Icon of More is totally worth 25 points. And then we have for the City-State of Nuln, 20 point. It's the banner only for City-State of Nuln, only for I guess anything you want, but it gives you Stubborn. It's 20 point. 20 point Stubborn is really efficient, really efficient. But we're going to talk about why I hate that. We talking about the City-State of Nuln. Let's go. We got one more page of magic items. Twin Dolphins' Marvelous Magnifier. Yeah, we have a funny to say magic. I'm sorry. I get lost in funny names. The bearer of the magnifier and unit they join do not suffer the -1 hit penalty for shooting at long range. I have an idea for this that's going to be a lot of fun. Weirdly enough, it's going to be in a Nuln City-State army, but we'll talk about that in a second. And then we have a couple of rings. We have the Ring of Fortune for 20 points, single use. You may reroll all failed to wound during combat, 1 use only. So I can see use for that. If you have 20 points left over on a character, and you have 20 points left in your roster to spend, I would buy this. But it's not like an auto-include item by any stretch. Then we have the Ring of Tall. This thing is kind of disappointing. Single use. I don't know why it's single use. The Bearer of the Ring of Tall may cast Oaken Shield from the Lore of Battle Magic. It gives you 5 ward save for you and your unit. Power level 3. Power level 3 is not terrible, but like the Ruby Ring of Ruin, you can use every turn. This only gives you a ward save. This Ring of Tall is like there are infinitely better ways to spend 20 points. Okay, for arcane items, we have the Twin-Tailed Wand. Once per turn, the bearer of the Twin-Tailed Wand may attempt to cast one of their spells a second time. However, should the miscast, the bearer is overwhelmed, and instead of avoiding the miscast table, suffers D3 wounds with no armor or regeneration stays permitted. I can't see ever using this. This is, I think, bad. One, to have this arcane item, you cannot have the lore familiars. You cannot choose your spells. So you're going to randomly generate your spells and hope that you get one that you want to cast twice a turn. That part isn't terrible, but whatever, right? But if you miscast, you're going to die. Any wizard's going to die a third of the time. A level 3 or 4 will die a third of the time. So maybe if you're on a Griffin mount, you have the spare wounds to risk a miscast, but then there's better combos of magic items. I can't think of any outside of the narrative reason or cool like theme list to me. I don't know, just bringing this magic item for the fun of it. But I can't think of any tactical reason to bring this item. And then we have the Tome of Midnight. +1 modifier to cast when they attempt to cast any spells from Demonology, Dark Magic, Necromancy. In addition, they know one more spell than normal for the Chosen Lore. However, should the bearer only the bearer can only cast basically level 4 can only cast 4 spells. That's not bad. That's actually not bad at all. I still like the security the Lore Familiar gives me, but I will be bringing the Tome of Midnight when I'm bringing Demonology, Dark, or Necromancy. I really like Dark and Necromancy. Not a big fan of Demonology for Empire, but I like Demonology. But either way, I like to bring Dark and Necromancy. So yeah, I will bring the Tome of Midnight. I think I will use this over the Lore Familiar from time to time. And then the Crystal Ball is something I can't wrap my head around because I want to love it, but I think in practicality, it'd be hard to use. So once per turn, when your opponent makes, you can force your opponent to reroll a single to hit, to wound roll made against a friendly character within this model's command range. So if you can keep your wizard within 7 or 8 inches of your general, you can make your general harder to kill. But keeping your wizard within his range, because your general's either going to be an Empire general on a griffin, a Grand Master on a horse. I can't, this thing is too situational. I want to love it. I can't figure out why I would give up my Arcane slot for this very situational item. No, I don't like it. Either way, it's not the worst item in the world, but they're magic items. I think the big winner for me is the Squintoffin's Marvelous Magnifier. We got the Witch Hunter's Ward, the Icon of More, the Tapestry of Sigmar, and the Wondrous Arquebus. So a few items that I'm very happy with. Oh, I like the Twice Plus Armor as well. A few items I'm very happy with, but you know, a lot of mediocre as well. So the first Army of Infamy is the City-State of Nuln. Well, the first thing I noticed is you can't have level 3 or 4 wizard. Not a good start. Our characters are otherwise not too dissimilar as you would expect from them. One War Altar, but get that. Now, our core, you must have 1 regiment of Nuln state troops or Nuln veteran state troops. You're forcing me to bring state troops, huh? Interesting. Yeah, we have 1 unit of Outriders per 1,000 points in core. I kind of like that. And then Free Company Militia and Archers are core. Now, Archers are fantastic core, so great. Special Great Swords, Pistoliers, Outriders, Knights, War Wagons, which is good because they're rare otherwise. I can have many War Wagons in a State of Nuln list. And then War Machines. And then we have a lot of Hellblasters in rare. Still can't have 2 steam tanks though, because they're 365 points. So, can't get 2. You can't even afford 1 per 1,000 points, even though their rules rarely say you can bring 1 per 1,000 points. Now, over in Mercenaries, we can bring 2 Doom Seekers per 1,000 points, which is awesome, and Imperial Dwarves and Ogres. Now, rules we're going to get. Big guns, no fear. So, Empire State troops within command range of a War Machine gain immune to psychology. That's not good. I can't flee. Entrenched positions. Oh, okay, it's like the dwarf entrenched thing. So 1 of your War Machines can be entrenched. Great. Not terrible. Gun Limbers, I really like this. 1 War Machine per 1,000 points can spend, 15 points for Hellblaster to have Vanguard. Now, this is so good. And I've heard some people talking about this, and there's one thing they tend to forget, but I'll get over it. So, volley guns, if you go first, don't fire turn 1. You only have 24-inch range. If your opponent deploys on a line somewhere, you're even on the line, you can't shoot at them. But if you Vanguard forward, you can shoot turn 1. So often people will push their armies farther back, so they don't get shot turn 1 for various reasons, which I'm okay with. The farther you want to get away from my Empire gun line, the better. Because you have a Vanguard, you can also Vanguard backwards. You can get deep in your own lines. You can use these things to deploy and push things out of an area, and then Vanguard deeper into your lines. Granted, only like 4 inches, sure, but this Vanguard I think is an auto-include on Hellblasters for me. Multiple Hellblasters with Vanguard. It's gonna get in people's head during deployment. It's not gonna like the state of Nuln's overpowered because Hellblasters can Vanguard. but I think it is a tactic that you can start playing right from deployment. Is it going to win the game for you? No, probably not. But it's going to help. Whether you Vanguard forward, back, or just get in your opponent's head, the option is awesome. Or you Vanguard on one side of a wood or something in the wood, outside of the wood. Maybe you are on the left side of a rock and your opponent deploys on the right side so the war machine can't shoot me. Whoa, I Vanguarded back a few inches or forward a few inches, now I have line of sight. Having your war machines moving a couple of inches before the game starts, I think is going to be incredibly valuable. Next, we got Handgun Drill. Once per game, each detachment of state missile troops in the city-state Nuln can fire one additional rank. Once per game, your detachments can fire one additional rank. Now you may be asking yourself, why does it say your detachments can fire one additional rank? Why doesn't it say your handgunners? Because if you look over here, you can't even bring handgunners in the army. The only way to bring handgunners is as a detachment for Nuln state troops. So, if you bring a lot of handgunner detachments, you could fire 2 ranks once per game. I don't know why that's not all the time. There's no reason why it's not all the time, but whatever. Now, the Nuln state troop, you must bring halberds, which is the inferior weapon. The spear is the better weapon. You have to bring 1 or 2 detachments. They can be handgunners or swordsmen. You can have sergeants in your detachments. Forcing me to bring halberds and attachment to handguns, I don't know. Look, I'll tell you this. I have a battle report. In fact, I'm going to upload. I'll make sure it's uploaded today. So I recorded a members only battle report that they normally go up on Sundays, where I played the State of Nuln. I'll put it up today. I'll put it up a day earlier. It's only for members, but it's there for you members to watch. Or I did play State of Nuln, and I think the whole army played fantastic. The only thing that didn't perform, you guessed it, was my unit of halberdiers. So competitively speaking, if I really want to beat this list up, I think I can make some very nasty lists. But I think the smart thing to do is take a squad of 10 halberds and a squad of 5 handgunners and just use them to run up and block something. The handguns can stay back, but the halberds aren't going to do anything for you, unfortunately. This book did nothing to buff Empire Infantry, which is unfortunate, but that's what the next edition will be for. And then we have the Veteran Outrider special rule. Outriders, which are core for you, don't have Ponderous, so they're only -1 to hit when they move. Actually pretty good. I played like 15 Outriders in my list. I had a 3,000 point game. And I love them. Now, what I want to do is I want to put an Empire Engineer on a horse. Give him that marvelous... I can't remember what it's called. The item that's ignore penalty for long range. He'll join a unit of 10 Outriders. They're going to be able to fire, 30 shots. Only -1 hit for moving and shooting. Only -1 for multiple fire, and that's it. Hitting on 3, they're hitting on 5s with 30 shots. Or they don't move, hitting on 4s. I think that's awesome. I think it's very worth it. The list I played with this had a lot of war machines. My core was it was my mandatory Nuln state troops and my detachment, and then it was all Outriders. I don't have archers yet. I will get some as soon as they're back in stock. But yeah, a lot of Outriders. And then I brought that character, what's his name? General Hans van Loenhacke. So I had far less drops than Mitch, and General Hans getting another +1 as he goes first. You know I went first. I Vanguarded my 2 Hellblasters, and I had my 2 units of Road Wardens already scouting. I had my Outriders vanguarding. I unloaded like heavily. It was a gun line of gun lines that was actually quite mobile. I had a lot of fun with City State of Nuln. The only liability is, unfortunately, the Nuln state troop. I think there's ways around it, and you know what? I need something for General Hans von Loenhacke to sit in and fight with something, I guess. Yeah, no, I'm. Does City State need a level 4 wizard? You can't dispel my cannon. You can't dispel my Hellblaster. You can't dispel my 15 Outriders. That helps, but I also can't dispel your stuff either. So that didn't. All the damage I took in the game, though giving major spoilers, was from enemy wizards until I was able to just utterly shoot them to death. So yeah, no, I like City State of Nuln. It if you could bring a level 4, and you didn't have to bring the Nuln state troops, this list would be like all anybody ever plays. It'd be maybe, arguably, maybe, potentially in one universe, overpowered. But no, we're not going to say that. It's a lot of fun. I miss the level 4. I hate the state troop, but you can't have everything. And then our Knightly Order, Army of Infamy. So we went through all the Knightly Order rules. But keep that in mind. Typically, in a Grand Army, you can have 1 Grand Master and 1 unit of Knights upgraded to be a Knightly Order. If you play the Knightly Order Grand Army Infamy composition, all your Knights are from the same order. I mean, that means you can have a whole army of Knights of the White Wolf. Now, your army composition is you must bring a Chapter Master, but he can be a BSB. You can bring only 1 Grand Master, which is unfortunate. I'd rather bring more than 1, but what are you going to do? You can bring 1 Lector of Sigmar or High Priest of Ulrich per 1,000 points. And then Warrior Priest of Sigmar and Ulrich's, Warrior Priest of Ulrich. And then 1 War Altar for Warrior Priest of Sigmar. So no wizards allowed. That's going to be rough. However, I think this is one of the few army compositions that can play without a wizard and not be overly upset. Because you get hyper aggressive. Would it do better with a wizard? Probably, but you can just be hyper aggressive and maybe get away with it. I'm not saying it's not going to feel bad not having a wizard, but there are ways around it a little bit. So in core, you must bring 1 unit of Knights per 1,000 points, and Inner Circle Knights are taken as core, which is freaking awesome because I can't figure out how to bring Inner Circle Knights ever. When they're in the special slot, I can't justify ever using my special points on them. I'd rather just bring regular Knights. Either way, now we're going to see Inner Circle Knights on the table, and quite a lot of them, I think. And then for some reason, Empire Archers are here in core. They're so good. I don't know why. I don't know why they're here. They don't need to be here, but I'm happy that they are. The Skirmish, the Scout, they're awesome. And then you can have Inner Circle Knights or Demigryph Knights as special. And then 1 unit of State Troops or State Missile Troops per 1,000 points as special. Who cares? Nobody's going to do that. And then 25% of your army may be spent on Pistolers. Nobody's doing that either. They're terrible. Okay, so our comp. I've actually played lists with this type of comp, like this kind of restriction imposed upon me on regular Empire. So it's not that, doesn't feel restricted to me at all. But what are we gaining? Other than the Knightly Order rules that we gained for our units at 2 to 3 points per knight and 10 to 15 points per character. On top of that, we're getting a little bit more. So, Knights Panther. They may include 1 unit of Empire Knights or Inner Circle Knights that are upgraded to Knights of the White Wolf as a mercenary choice, and they don't suffer the misbehaving mercenaries rule. So the Knights of the White Wolf work with the Knights Panther quite often. So having them, this is the one way of having 2 different Knightly Orders in the Knightly Order Army of Infamy. You can have an army of Knights Panther and 1 unit of Knights of the White Wolf. Not bad. I kind of dig that. If you play Army of the White Wolf, right? If you play Knights of the White Wolf, you may include any number of Teutogen Guard as special choices and 0 to 1 unit of Free Company Militia as a core choice per 1,000 points. However, you can't include any Priests of Sigmar, or Witch Hunters, So the Knights of the White Wolf, they worship Ulrich, so those are the kind of priests they go with. The Militia and the Teutogen Guard, for you old guys like me, you remember back in the day when the Midland Army was shown, or when these malls first came out, it was all Militia, Teutogen Guard. It's just representing that. Otherwise, pretty cool. I think the Militia as core, I actually could see myself spending points on, even though I want to spend all my points on Knights. I like the Grand Army of Infamy, Knights of the White Wolf, quite a bit. Keep in mind, all those Knights are gaining Furious Charge. It's really, really good. All right, Knights of the Blazing Sun. Nobody's ever going to play these because the rules are terrible. Remember, there's the guys that have rules that we wouldn't even discuss. They have like Feigned Flight and Flaming Attacks or something stupid. You may include 0 to 2 Master Mages as characters per 1,000 points. And then 0 to 1 Great Cannon or Mortar per 1,000 points. So I can bring mages. Master Mages are the level 1s and 2s. But I have to have terrible knight rules. No thank you. Knights of More may include Wizard Lords and Master Mages. Okay, so now we can play Army of Infamy with all the wizards we want. The army would have a 6 of Ward save across the board, because that's all the knights. That's the Knights of War special rule. Here on the characters, magical attacks on the characters, and everybody's going to hate some undead. But you can't have any Priest of Sigmar or Priest of Ulrich. Okay, that's a fair trade. No priests. We gain wizards. I don't hate it. Though you already know I already talked about it. I think Knights of the Fiery Heart are my favorite. They're the ones that get +1 initiative in the first round of combat. They may include flagellants as rare. Your army can't include any Priest of Ulrich or High Priest of Ulrich. So this is for Sigmar. Gaining flagellants, I don't know if it really fits. Theme-wise, it does. So I like to play knights led by Archlector on a War Altar. And actually, I've had flagellants in those lists many times. So Knights of the Fiery Heart are, weirdly enough, the way I've played my Knights of the Empire since this edition has started. So go figure, I actually like them the most. But Knights of the White Wolf, I suspect, is the most... No, I don't know. Knights of Moor, Knights of the White Wolf, Knights of the Fiery Heart. One of those three are going to be the best one. But I do think there's going to be play for Knights of Panther. I think I like Knights of the Fiery Heart the most. But I think everybody's like Knights of the White Wolf the most. I think that Furious Charge is very tempting. But Knights of Moor are good. You know what? Have fun, play it all, guys. I actually really like the Knightly Orders. Now, typically, we're not having wizards. That's, not great. Like I said, if you're very aggressive, just keep pushing it forward. I think you can get away with some things. I think you can get away with it a little bit. Like, we've seen plenty of Bretonnian armies without wizards, right? Now, granted, they have artillery and flying skirmishers. You're not going to have that. So, time will tell if the Empire and Knightly Orders can get away without having Wizard Lords. I'm excited to find out, but either way, I'm going to have fun with this one. So, at the time this video goes out, Mitch and I are probably recording this video right now. We're going to play this special snare. That'll be out soon. Either way, this Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Luca and I will be streaming. I will be playing some Empire. And then Thursday night at 5:30 Eastern Time, this week, we'll be streaming again, Empire again. I'll play Nuln one night and Knightly Orders the next night. I'll probably do Knightly Orders first. All these new models. Either way, check us on our live streams. Wednesdays and Thursdays nights, 5:30 p.m. Plenty of Empire streams coming up. Also, like I said, there is one battle report up right now. It's for members only. Every week I record a handheld, old-style battle report for my members. I recorded the Empire book this week for it. And normally I release them on Sundays, every Sunday, but for you members, I'll put it out today, just because you want to see it today. I'm not going to make you wait one more day. Otherwise, wait for Wednesday for the first Empire stream. Lots of Empire lists in the works coming out. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know if I miss anything. Like, I didn't talk about everything in the book, obviously. There's too many little things to talk about, but any really cool combos that you thought of. I guess I should talk a little bit about... I'm going to backtrack a second here. I'm curious whether or not it's going to be worth it ever to put an engineer inside a war wagon. I think the major selling point for this thing is 140 points. Adding another, I think engineer's 40 points to the point cost of this. That's the question I want answered. But yeah, I'm happy. Like, I really did wish this book was going to do something for infantry, but I get seeing how. I don't think there's anything to be done for infantry this edition. We play with them as they are. We have our fun. By the way, I'm not disappointed with this book. I'm actually very happy. Need to be very excited for what's coming out for the High Elf, which is next. Then almost certainly the Beastmen and the Wood Elves. Appreciate you all. Support the channel. Like, comment, subscribe. See you next one. Happy wargaming.